Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our county news briefing for this Wednesday. Well, we often talk about winter safety preparedness for people and pets and homes, but our agricultural commissioner's office is getting the word out to our local growers and ranchers to prepare fields and ranches for winter storms, especially where it comes to erosion control. We're very pleased to have our Assistant Ag Commissioner, Rich Ordonez, here to talk about how that word is getting out and what ranchers and growers can do. Hi, Rich.
Hello, Maya. Thank you for having me on today. Um, Storm preparedness and erosion control on the farm is kind of on the forefront of our minds right now. On Monday we had our first one of the first rains, significant rains in the area, and it with the storms that we've had in early 2023 in January and March, it really has put storm preparedness at the forefront of our minds. The Ag Commissioner's Office has sent out a couple of reminders to growers to get ready for that situation and all the precipitation that we may have in the upcoming months. In fact, I'm going to, in the chat, send you some of the communications that we sent out to the growers. Um, but, the erosion and stormwater runoff, when it gets onto farmland operations, it can cause quite a bit of damage, loss of the topsoil and the nutrients. That it could result in costly repairs. The grower may have to bring in heavy equipment, regrade their roads, and all sorts of things. Uh, Runoff on the farmland can also create flooding in nearby homes and other businesses, and could damage structures and property, which would not be a very good situation. Uh, the risk of erosion is much higher in the areas where there are sloping fields and where we have strawberries planted. With strawberries being our number one crop here in the county, that could pose some problems in our areas. What happens in those strawberry fields is that the plastic mulch that they use on those fields, it reduces the rainwater infiltration and it increases the runoff. So that's something to keep in mind in those areas. Uh, so erosion and sediment runoff from your field, is the property owner's responsibility, and failure to, control that runoff. You could be in violation of the erosion control ordinance that Monterey County has. Um, and you don't want to increase your liability with runoff for damaging your neighbor's homes, roads, and properties. If you have any specific questions or want to look into it, I recommend you look at the Monterey County's erosion control ordinance, and you could contact the HCD, Housing and Community Development Environmental Services, for that information. It's also available on our website. um, and another problem that this runoff causes is the silt and mud flow. It ends up on the road, and it frequently results in road closures, which is inconvenient for everybody. It clogs up our product to market infrastructure, where those roads are necessary for our crops to go to the coolers, and it allows our farm workers to go to the field, and also us citizens going to their workplace. It affects that. So that's something that is affected when this silt and runoff get onto the roads, and Public Works has to come in there and shut down the roads. So there are some practices that property operators can implement to reduce erosion. Like one of them, there's some simple things, the simple row arrangement or the orientation in which the rows run in the field, like putting them horizontal as opposed to vertical on hilly ground will help. Also, the use of cover crops planted in areas where they would be bare during the winter, that would improve the water holding capacity. Also, sediment ponds. Uh, you know, sediment ponds are used at the lower end of a field, and they collect the water, and it lets the sediment settle down, and so that way the runoff water has less sediment and soil in it, and it also allows the water to percolate down into the soil. So those are just a few of the practices that you could use, but there are many more in this guide that I'm about to tell you about. So the Resource Conservation District published a guide on hill slope farming and runoff management practice guide. It's in the letter that I sent you. We have links to it and also a QR code. We also have some nice hard copies. If you do want to get a hard copy of it and you don't like to read on the computer, we have copies here in our office. So feel free to come in and pick that up. And it has many more methods in order for you to reduce the erosion and stormwater runoff. Um, that's the first place where I would go if I wanted to get help. Um, and then some other resources that we have are the Resource Conservation District, the ones who published that guide. They're available as well. They have information, technical assistance, and consultation services. So if you have issues on your ranch, you can certainly contact them. They are available. They speak English and Spanish. So for our Spanish speakers, they have folks that can help you out. And also, there's the USDA Natural Resource Conservation District. They provide technical assistance and also information regarding erosion and soil control. And they happen to be located in the same area, same office, actually. They're neighbors, and that's 744 LaGuardia Street in Salinas, California. So those are some great resources where you can go if you do have some issues. Another option that you have is you can consider hiring a certified professional in erosion and sediment control or a professional engineer. So yeah, with that, yeah, I just wanted to provide a reminder to our landowners and growers that those resources are out there, and if there's any questions, feel free to reach out to those agencies or us, and we'll point you in the right direction. And that's pretty much all I have today. And if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Rich, thank you so much for walking us through this. We all think about preparedness for ourselves. We all think, where's my go bag? Am I ready to go? Or am I winterizing my home? But we don't often take the next step that you guys think about is preparing everybody else. And I think we do remember 2023. And I think we do remember up in North County with the slopes that you described that were very hard hit. You are communicating with landowners, growers, and ranchers. What has been their response at this point to getting the information out to them?
Well, yeah, so I think the response has been great. I've been in touch with the RCD and NRCS, and they've told me that several growers have reached out to them and are consulting with them to get some projects going to help alleviate the problems that I just mentioned.
Yeah, and I really appreciate that you described the slope because I think we all love, we all love strawberries. Who doesn't love strawberries? But there are certain, downsides to the way they grow that those growers really have to think about, during the different seasons that could impact. And we don't think about the fact that those are plastic and, rain just slips, right off of them.
Absolutely, growers on on growing on those particular areas that have a little bit of slope, yes, they need to be mindful because of the issues that type of farming can cause in those areas. If they're more on a level kind of area, maybe not such an issue.
Right. You sent out I think you said there was a flyer that you had sent out. Would you happen to have that to show? Because I was
Uh,
looking for it. You sent out a flyer to landowners, kind of giving them some tips.
yeah, we have that. I can provide that in the chat here.
Oh, would you please? That would be
Yeah.
fantastic.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Because sometimes it's giving just a reminder, just a snapshot of, hey, don't forget about this. The time is now, get going on that, on the winterizing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There, I shared it on chat, so folks can get a copy of the flyer.
Perfect. And we'll definitely put those up and we'll share them. And Rich, thanks very much, for talking about this and reminding us, this is another reminder for us. Thanks for reminding the growers and then reminding us too that it is winter, around the corner and we should be prepared as well.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you very much for having me on today, Maya. I
See you
appreciate it.
soon. So, on our next topic, each year there is time set aside to focus on suicide loss survivors, their needs, and resources for them. There is a special event coming up on November 23rd, which lets survivors gather together, honor their lost loved ones, and continue to heal. We're very pleased to have Carly Memoli here. She's going to tell us more about the event and how we can all support survivors. Hi, Carly. Thanks very much for being here.
Hi there. Thank you so much for taking some time for this today. Greatly appreciate it. For folks who I haven't met before, I'm Carly Memoli, and I work with a program called Applied Crisis Training and Consulting. We support Monterey County behavioral health and the entire Monterey County community in organizing and hosting what we call the McHopes Coalition. It stands for Monterey County Helping One Another Prevent and Eliminate Suicide. Together, we've been working as a group since 2000 to really work to implement our strategic plan for suicide prevention, intervention, and postvention, which is what I'm going to talk about today, and really coordinate our efforts together in the community in an effective way. And as you asked, kind of raise awareness of the role that everyone in the community can play in preventing suicide and also supporting those who've been impacted by suicide loss. Our big program focus for this year, 24, 25, and probably beyond, is really focusing on the impact of culture and social identity in suicide prevention, intervention, and indeed for loss supports as well. One way that we're looking at that is in the different ways that we experience grief and loss around suicide, as well as healing. So I'll just talk briefly about this and kind of set up what we're sharing with the event. And I will share the flyers for our upcoming event in the chat as well. Almost everyone knows somebody that's been impacted by a suicide loss, and the impact of a suicide death can be really devastating to families, to friends, others that were close to the person, and honestly can ripple out to affect our entire community. One of the purposes of having events such as this, where we can come together and honor that grief and turn that grief into ongoing healing, hope, and connection, is really to take some of that out of the shadows. Oftentimes, when someone dies by suicide, it doesn't bring communities or people together in the same way as maybe another type of loss. It sometimes can actually split families apart. There's a very complicated grief process that people experience. And what we often see is that a significant number of people who are exposed to suicide have negative and can potentially have long-term mental health consequences. Exposure to suicide can actually increase the risk of suicide amongst loss survivors themselves. And I speak to this from a personal perspective as well, having lost multiple folks in my own family to suicide and seeing both the devastating impact, but also the potential for healing when one learns that there are resources and there is a community of support for this. What we call postvention is really an organized and caring response after a suicide. And the research shows us that this actually minimizes the negative outcomes and can reduce the risk of additional suicides amongst those lost survivors. So you'll hear us use that term. Suicide loss survivors is a term that we often use to describe an individual who's been impacted by a suicide loss and is at any point of the grieving process. It can look very different for different people, and it's not necessarily always a reflection of how close that person was to the decedent. Uh, there might be an impact on people who were not close to that person, but experience that ripple effect through the community. There's also a need for both short-term and long-term supports for lost survivors. And for a lot of us, this can come up around the holiday times or other times where people may be joyful or coming together, where we may see that empty chair at our kitchen table, or we may realize that we don't get to celebrate that holiday with someone who we love so much. And people often say, survivors often say that the pain doesn't go away because the love doesn't go away that you have for that person. But what we have seen is that coming together as a community to look at how we support one another through that loss can help us get to better outcomes for ourselves and for each other. So when we talk about postvention, it's a really wide range of activities, and we have many of these going on in our community. We have support packets of information, materials, and resources that are available for suicide loss survivors. We have some clinicians in our community that have specialized training in suicide loss support. We work on different events and activities to bring people together to share their experience and contribute to one another's healing. And that's what we're going to be doing next Saturday on November 23rd. Not just us, all around the world, actually. It is International Survivors of Suicide Loss Day on November 23rd. It is always the Saturday before Thanksgiving. And this will be the second year in Monterey County that we're coming together to share our stories, to engage in healing activities, and to connect one another with resources so that we can continue to engage in our own healing and support others in doing the same. So I want to just share with folks that there's a lot of amazing activities happening in the community already. And this is one additional way that we're really trying to offer folks that support where they can come to a space and feel however they're feeling, receive some support, and hopefully support others in that process as well. I'm going to go ahead and share our flyers for this in the chat. The event is going to be hosted at United Way at the Community Impact Center in Salinas from 10:30 until 1 o'clock next Saturday. The registration link and also my email address, should folks have questions or want to learn more or find out how do I get involved in all of this, is available. And we just encourage anyone who has been touched by suicide in their family, in their workplace, anywhere in the community, to share this information. It's something that touches us all, and while we lose and grieve together, we can hope and we can heal together as well. Thank you so much.
Carly, thank you so much. I'm wondering if you could share the flyer, share your
Yes.
screen with the flyer as
Yeah.
we talk a little bit more, because this
Yeah.
we're streaming on social, and people who are watching now, they we'll send it out and we'll post it later, but they can kind of mark their calendars for this.
Absolutely.
And it's so interesting that this day to mark the suicide loss survivors is before a major holiday. And that seems to be by design. And you alluded to it a little bit, because people feel a gap. They feel someone is missing, from their celebration. And that, the rest of those of us who have not had that experience really don't know how that feels to not have that person there. But it really is significant.
It really can be. And, some days are harder than others. And for some folks, that particular holiday might not be a particularly painful reminder of their loved one, but it might be a different day. It might be, the date of the person's death or their birthday or another day that was meaningful to them. In our December meeting for our coalition, we're really going to be exploring that idea of how we celebrate and then also how we create opportunities for support for folks at those special times throughout the year where may offer an opportunity to come together, but it may leave some people feeling more isolated. And if we've learned anything in our work with suicide prevention is that connection is the opposite of isolation. And so that's what we're trying to do is connect with people during these times that may be difficult and connect with people all throughout the year, helping support them in finding the resources that can help, help kind of guide them along that journey.
So for someone who's had this experience and wants to attend this, if we look at what's happening here today, how should people be able to feel comfortable coming and saying, I want to talk about this? And kind of what can they do when they're there? How can they kind of share their story? How can they know that they're in an environment where they can talk about their loss and it will be accepted?
Absolutely. Thank you. One portion of the event is we actually watch a couple of stories together of others around the world sharing their experiences, which helps to normalize that experience of talking about one's own loss. People have, it's kind of a choose your own adventure where people can participate in healing activities, but we're offering supportive spaces in smaller groups for folks to come together and talk about who they lost and what the impact of that has been and what their journey of healing has looked like so far. And when we invite that, we know that those journeys are not a straight line, and that they're not always filled with positives. Sometimes they are, but really we'll be working to just create that supportive space and then extend that as we move forward as a coalition. Our overall McHopes Coalition is really dedicated to creating spaces like this, not just on these particular days, but really throughout the year. And part of that just starts with people coming together to talk and to share. And the folks that are helping us, helping to support with the organizing of the day are all trained in suicide loss and response. And many of us, myself included, are suicide loss survivors ourselves. There's a lot to be said for peer support when it comes to this sort of thing, because you don't necessarily know until you've been there. And once you've been there, you want to help support others who are going through the same thing.
It's so great to know that this is a safe space and a good place for people who want to gather with those who understand what they're going through.
Thank you.
Carly, thank you so much for being here today and sharing this information and also, making it personal, and that hopefully that will also encourage people to come out and meet you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Appreciate the time.
All right, thanks again.
Thanks.
And now for our last topic, if you are looking for a new job or some additional work, there are some upcoming job fairs from our Monterey County Works, and our friend Laura Kershner is here to talk about what the opportunities are. Hi, Laura. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Maya. Thank you so much for having me. Always appreciate it. We do have some upcoming job fairs. One is actually today for those that have some open time this afternoon from 1 to 4 p.m. here at our Salinas Career Center. Monterey County Works does these on a regular basis, and we're so happy to offer them to the community. We also have one this next week on November 20th, also from 1 to 4 p.m. here at our Salinas Career Center, all in preparation for holidays and regular hiring opportunities as well. Today we have about 9 or 10 employers that are scheduled to be here, some really good ones. Most of what they're offering is full-time work, although some of them are part-time positions as well. And I anticipate next week we'll have much of the same. The multiple employer job fairs are really popular because it gives people a little bit of taste of everything. The employers seem to like them. We're getting more and more that are flocking to our events that have opportunities here in Monterey County. So we want to invite people to be sure and join us. I'm going to put up the flyer for share that in the chat for next week's, as well as I'll share this week's too. And then I want to include our job board, as well, a hyperlink to that so folks can find us and apply for positions, because we want to be the liaison, the connector of people here in Monterey County as far as work goes, and we think we're well on our way.
And I wonder if you could put the flyer up for today, because we have people who are watching on streaming right now, and
Absolutely.
that could do. And then after that, I'm wondering if you could then show the opportunities on the website for people to go looking, because if they can't get to one of the fairs, your website has a tremendous amount of jobs posted there that people can scroll through and really see if there's something out there that interests them.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let me share that right now. It's MontereyCountyWorks.com/jobs. And I've put both today's flyer and the one for next week on the 20th in the chat. I think they're just different varieties, but that should work. Always feel free to reach out to me. Our friends in the media can get a hold of me. I'm at 831-796-3341. 831-796-3341. Happy to chat with you. Love to give you a tour of our center. We are located at 344 Salinas Street in downtown Salinas, right across from Casa Sorrento. For those of you that know the area, we now have wonderful pictures in the window, posters, I should say, large, actually window size decals to show off the center more, to get people more familiar with us. We invite the public to come down and have a peek. Let us help you. That's what we're designed to do. Workforce Development Board is still in effect. We have rebranded, so to speak, in recent years under Monterey County Works. That's what we're called now, but some people will remember us as the One Stop Career Center. Some people might remember us as America's Job Center. It is all the same thing. We are branding the service now through Monterey County Works. Learn more on our website at MontereyCountyWorks.com. MontereyCountyWorks.com, and we invite the public in, especially if you're looking for work for those holiday jobs. This is where you can find those.
And so we're showing the flyer for today so that people can know there's the address, there's a QR code, there's, people can go down there. And I'm also wondering if you can pull up your website on your screen and share it with us, Laura, because if you could go to that jobs page and just give people an example of what it looks like when they get there, and, that they can scroll and find opportunities.
Yes, let me see if I can do that. Someone else is sharing. So someone else.
No, we got.
Send the request.
Nope. You can share.
You got it?
You got it. You can share.
Okay. Job page. Okay. Can everybody see that?
Yes, sure.
Okay. Again, that is at MontereyCountyWorks.com/jobs. I'm going to scroll down here so you can see the nature of the positions that are available. This has been a very popular page for us. In fact, my understanding is it's the most popular page on our website is the job page. Not only are our employers posting to it, our internal staff are posting every day. So there's a wide variety of things that are available. It's pretty impressive, actually. You can expand the offerings at the bottom of the page here to see the number of things. Typically, how this works is when stuff's posted to the website, it's posted for 30 days at a time unless otherwise noted. And it's become pretty popular. There's all kinds of different things available. I'm always impressed when I go in here and find, hey, that's a really good job. Hey, there's another really good job. I like to, connect people. So when I see something that fits somebody that comes to one of the job fairs, I said, have you taken a look at the job board yet? Because you're really missing out if you haven't. So again, if you're needing work, if you know somebody needing work, send them to the job center. We're open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Sometimes there's some extended hours as well, but those are always hours when we are open here in Salinas. We also have some satellite offices at the Hartnell College Extension in Castroville, at the Monterey Adult School in Seaside, and we also have another office in, let's see, help me out here, Seaside, Castroville, and it escapes me, but it's MontereyCountyWorks.com. You can log in at the bottom of the page, and we would be delighted to help you.
And the great thing about the page, if people are using it, is that you can search for what you're looking for too. If you get to that page and you don't see something right away, you can put in the type of thing you're looking for, the field, it can customize for what you're looking for. So now we know why it's so popular, now that we've
Yes.
seen it.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And it is a popular page. And if you're, like I said, if you're looking for work, if you need help, that's what we specialize in here. When you enroll in our workforce programs, you have the opportunity to sit with your own talent coach, is what we call them externally. Internally, we call them case manager, but that doesn't sound like much to people on the outside. So think of it as a talent coach, your own employment coach, who will help coach you in the areas where your aptitudes and where your skill set is. So that's the advantage of enrolling in our program. Certainly anybody can come in and use the computer and the job center at any time on their own if they want to. But if you need a little bit of help, if you need to upgrade your resume, if you need to learn those interview skills, and you're want to learn how to network, we're the place to do that.
Laura, it's always a pleasure to have you here, and it's always great information about what you always have fun things coming up. So we encourage everyone to check out the job fairs and the website, and we'll see you next time.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
And thanks everyone for joining us on the news briefing this week. Our next briefing is next week, and we'll see you then.